Hey guys, welcome to Game 2 of FIDE World Chess Championship played between Anand and Topalov in 2010. And this is the picture on your screen is still taken from the Game 2. This was taken from the internet. I do not claim that this photograph is taken by me. I do not know the source, which is why I did not put it here. And with that information, along with one more fact that the score line is Topalov 1, Anand 0. Let's begin game 2. We have d4. Anand has the white pieces this time, so he opens with d4, and we have knight to f6. Now c4 and e6. Knight to f3, d5. This is the Queen's Gambit declined line, and we have g3. The plan here is to flank the bishop on this long diagonal. So we have d takes c4. And it's not really a good idea to go after the pawn, even though you can put your queen on a4 and give a check, then you can pick this pawn up. But GMs generally don't prefer to do that. We have bishop to g2, and now a6, a developing move, getting this rook some breathing space. We have knight to e5, and this knight to e5 is a wonderful move, mainly because it stops this pawn from being pushed forward. Obviously the reason is because then you get bishop captures rook on a8, and this knight cannot also come to this c6 square, and I'll show you why. Because if the knight comes to c6, now trying to develop, we get knight captures c6, pawn captures c6, and then you lose this rook after bishop captures c6 with check, and after you block it, you're going to lose the rook, and queen captures here. All you have to do is move your g-pawn and you're completely fine. This was the same exact position, but the tables were reversed in the previous game in match 1. So none of that was played. After knight to e5, we have c5 move. And now knight to a3, developing, finally going after this pawn, and there's no way you can defend it, so you just have to let it go. C takes d4, trying to gain some space in the center and trying to counterattack the center. We have knight a takes c4. Now again, you cannot develop any of these pieces yet because of the same reason that I showed you previously. We have bishop to c5, getting some more defenders to the centralized pawn, and now castles on both sides. We have bishop to d2, a developing move, and now knight to d5. Finally closing down this bishop's attack on this b7 pawn, and finally these three pieces now can develop. We have rook to c1, and knight to d7, again trying to put some pressure here, and let's see what happens. Knight to d3, going back because you don't want this captures, and when this captures, your knight is going to be stuck or could be pushed back with f6 also. So Anand didn't want any of that, and he said knight to d3. Bishop to a7, and this is an important move because say if you go bishop to e7, just trying to see what happens if you go here, then knight to f4, attacking this piece here, and we have knight captures f4, bishop captures f4, and now e5, closing down the center. This is another way to play this position, but here white has a little advantage, just a slight one, not something big, but grandmasters, that's all they need. After this, you have knight takes e5, knight takes e5, bishop takes e5, and now bishop to f6, offering another pair, and after you exchange these two bishops as well, you get bishop captures f6, queen captures f6, and this is a slight advantage for white with most of the pieces off the board. Right now you cannot move this bishop because you have an attack going, but once you move the rook, this bishop can finally develop, and you can continue this game with white having a slight advantage. But none of that was played, and we have bishop to a7, just retreating the bishop, going to safety. We have bishop to a5, now attacking the queen, And we have queen to e7. We have queen to b3. And there is another variation that could arise, and which is something that I want to show you. If you don't play queen to b3, you can also play bishop takes d5, and this is an amazing move. After bishop takes d5, you have e takes d5, and now bishop to b4, attacking the queen. White can probably think that, oh, look at this, I'm attacking the queen and I'm attacking the rook behind it, which is why if you go for this variation, it would be a great mistake, because once you move the queen to f6, now the sole purpose is that you have to capture this pawn on f8, this rook on f8, and once you capture this rook, the king will not immediately capture, because right now you are attacking two pieces, this bishop on f8 and this knight on c4. So first you'll capture the knight, and now again you're attacking this knight on d3, and you're still attacking this bishop here. So even if you decide to capture this piece here, to c4 piece, you still have this attack, and once black captures your f8 bishop, that's it. This is a big advantage to black, and black should be winning from here. You can even push b5 and kick away this rook from here, and there is nothing you can do about it. So this is why you cannot play bishop captures d5. There's no exchanges here. So after that, we have none of this was played in the game. We have queen to b3 instead, and we have rook to b8. Just getting out of this crazy diagonal, finally you can move this pawn. And this was a position where Anand went into a deep thought, because all of this was prepared by both the sides and they were playing perfectly. So after thinking for a few minutes, he played an excellent move, that was queen to a3. The reason he played this move was only to get Topalov out of his preparations, and from here Topalov didn't really know what to do. I mean, he had a fair bit of understanding of how the positions play out, but he is someone who used computers during that time for his preparations. So because of that, Anand decided, I want to get this guy out of the preparations and I want to play positional chess. After this, you cannot decline the queen trade, so queen takes a3, b takes a3. This was again another novelty by Viswanathan Anand, because he could have taken it with this knight, but then he didn't like the knight and this bishop staying on the a file, and he said, okay, even though I double my pawns, I think I can hold this. We'll see. So after b takes a3, this is again a crazy move, mainly because now this c3 square is available for this knight to jump in. Not immediately, because you're going to get bishop captures, but if you somehow eliminate this bishop by playing bishop to b6 and trying to go after this bishop, once you eliminate it, then this becomes an amazing, c3 becomes an amazing outpost for either of these knights, which was what the idea was of Topalov. And Vishy said, no, that's not a problem, I think I can manage that. So after b takes a3, we have knight 7 to f6, knight d7 to f6, and now knight c to e5. We have rook to e8, putting the rook on an active diagonal, and rook to c2. What Anand wants to do is double up his rook pair, because now this is the only open file, and Anand says, I want to control it no matter what. So we have b6, trying to kick away this bishop, and bishop goes back to d2. We have bishop to b7, now getting on this diagonal, and rook f to c1, doubling up the rooks as planned. We have rook b to d8, the positional move, and f4, trying to cement the position of this knight here. Bishop to b8, now attacking this knight, and we have a4. Now, again, because Topalov was out of the preparations, he was thinking what to do here, and he played a5, which a lot of people who were watching this live stream thought this is not really a good move. Even though the engines are still fine with it, engines still consider it's an okay move. But as a human, now there is a clear weakness in black's position, and that is the pawn on b6. And this pawn will be the target of Anand's pieces for the rest of the game until it's captured, and then after this is captured, even this pawn is falling. It doesn't matter if you're able to capture the pawn on a4, because there is another pawn behind it, and you can push that pawn as well. So this pawn for now is a weakness, and let's see how Anand capitalizes on this weakness. We have knight to c6, and we have bishop captures c6, rook captures c6, immediately attacking this piece, and that's exactly what Anand wanted. We have h5, now advancing his pawns, and first we have rook to c1 to c4, now attacking this pawn as well. We have knight to e3, and this move is a slight error, mainly because this knight was nicely defending this backward b6 pawn, and it would have been okay to give up this centralized pawn for this backward pawn, try to keep defending as long as you can. But Topalov decided that this pawn is not worth my time, and I would rather defend my centralized pawn, which has reached the fourth file, and it's just three squares away from queening. So I have spent so much time on that pawn, I'm going to defend it. Anand says okay, and he captures e3 with bishop. So bishop captures e3. We have d captures c3. Now you see there is no point, because now this pawn is stuck. It's stuck because Anand is not going to move his e2 pawn ever, and he's just going to put his bishop here on f3, and it's all over. This pawn can never move, never get out of there. So we have bishop to f3. That's exactly what Anand did. An interesting secondary line to show is you can immediately go after this pawn. It was after d captures e3 that I was going to show you this line. We have rook captures b6, rook captures d3, and e takes d3. Now we have e2 trying to push this pawn, but there's nothing, I mean, you can try, but you're not going to get anywhere, because we have rook to b1, and now this rook is guarding the e square. The next move is going to come to e1 and then attack this piece. And you don't have a light square bishop to guard this pawn. So bishop a7 check, and now even d4 getting away from check, and nothing you can do to prevent capturing of this pawn. None of that was played. After d captures c3, we have bishop to f3, just guarding this pawn, and now all is well in Anand's camp. We have g6, this solidifying move, and we have rook captures b6, finally getting rid of this backward pawn. Now you can imagine, now that this pawn is gone, the next target is this pawn on a5, and here is how Anand decides to capture it. We have bishop to a7, attacking and indirectly protecting this pawn. We have rook to b3, and now rook to d4, hoping to at least exchange one of the rooks off and try to hold this position. But Anand says, I smell the blood here, I'm not going for some rook exchanges, I'm going in for the kill. And he plays rook to c7. Now you have to move your bishop to b8, and he plays rook to c5. Bishop to d6, now attacking, but now simply rook captures on a5, and now you get two passed pawns. If one is lost, then sure, I'll have the second one. So rook to c8, first going for the check, for the obvious check, and once the king moves, you're going to put your rook on a1 and then try to hold this position. But king to g2. Anand says, you're not coming here with a check. If you want, you can come here and then we'll see what to do. We have rook to c2. Now, since there is no point in coming to c1 and then going to a1, he instead attacks these two pieces. This pawn is defended. This pawn now is going to move to a3, and rook is defending all of these pawns. You don't really have to worry. So rook to a2. Now this pawn is attacked twice, and it's only defended once. So how do you defend it? There is a way, and if you guys want, feel free to pause the video and try to find a way to defend in this position. The move that Anand played, and if you guys found it, you guys are amazing. You guys are grandmaster level and keep going. The move to find here is knight to b4. Once knight to b4, now you defend this pawn indirectly. If bishop captures here, you're just going to have pawn captures, and both of these pawns are now defended. There is nothing black can do about it. And so when there's nothing you can do, that's exactly what you do. Bishop captures b4. You have a captures b4, and Anand finally undoubles his pawns. And look at this now. You have two connected pawns on the king side, and an amazing bishop here that controls the queening, one of the queening squares. So you are definitely in for a challenge. We have knight to d5, trying to go after one of the pawns, and we have b5. Oh, not right now, he says. We have rook a takes a4, at least getting rid of one of the pawns. Now we have rook captures a4, rook captures a4, and bishop captures d5. We have e captures d5 and just pushing b6. Now what is black going to do to stop this pawn? Because in two moves it's going to queen. So black plays rook to a8. That's the only move you have. After b7 you have to play rook to b8, and look at this amazing rook here. All it's doing is just sitting there, hoping that you never push and get a queen into the game. And this rook, of course, is defending this for now, but this king will soon enter the game and reach this pawn. Nothing you can do about it. And if you try to go closer with this king, not that way, but from here with the king, the white is then going up the board and picking up your pieces. So either you promote this piece, or you're going to get all of these pieces captured, and then you're going to push these pawns ahead. Oops, that move was not played. And after rook to b8, we have king to f3. Obviously attacking this pawn, and now if you push to defend it, king is going up here and attacking both of these pawns. That's exactly what happens. d4, you have to defend it, and now king to e4. So king to e4 was the final position in the game, because this is where Topalov resigned, as there is nothing he can do. First, king is going to capture both of these pawns, then go and defend this pawn, or if you try to run away with your king and try to attack this pawn, then white king is simply going to march up the board, pick up all your pieces, and it's game over for black. Topalov knew all this, and that's why he decided to resign. We'll show you a few moves, what would have happened in the game, and which is why Topalov resigned. We have king to g7 trying to get into the game. King takes d4, king f6, king to d5, now going after this pawn to protect the pawn, king to e7, king to c6, king to e6, and finally you get rook captures e3 with check. and we have king to f6. Now this rook is free to move, to go wherever it wants. It can finally go pick all of these pieces up slowly and eventually. And if you try to keep your king further away, all it has to do is go here, go to e7, then go to c7, and then go to c8, and there is no stopping the queening square. So king to c7, now you attack the rook, and this is another way, and finally when the rook moves away to h8 or whatever square it wants on the 8th file, you go b8, you get a queen into the game, rook takes b8, king takes b8, and this is a completely lost position for black. So, as they say, fortune favors the brave, and Anand definitely showed his bravery when he played queen to a3, decided to get the queens off the board, double up his pawns, and then go after the b6 pawn. That was a weak b6 pawn. He calculated everything precisely and outplayed Topalov in a positional game, which is pretty amazing to watch at that high level. And that is all from game 2. So game 1 was won by Topalov, game 2 is won by Viswanathan Anand. We have scores 1-1 on both sides, and let's see what happens in game 3. But that's all for today's game. Namaste. See you all next time.